Welcome to The Blissful Life, a podcast where we awaken the wisdom of self and explore the lessons, the rituals, and the pathways to inner bliss. I'm your host, Regina Lawless, former corporate executive turned author and spiritual teacher. And I'm on a mission, y'all, to help people connect to and express their divine self so they can make their unique impact on the world. If you've been feeling like there is more to life than the hustle and grind, then you found your tribe. It's time to breathe and relax into the blissful life. Welcome back to The Blissful Life. I'm your host, Regina Lawless, and you all have no idea how excited I am for today's guest. I have with me Cindy Cowan, who is an Emmy-winning, Oscar-nominated producer who co-founded Initial Entertainment Group, IEG, in 1995. From its conception to its sale in 2000, IEG became a leading film production and foreign sales company. IEG had many successes, including an Emmy nom for Rent a Kid, Emmy, Golden Globe, and People's Choice nominations for If These Walls Could Talk, the coveted United Nations Award for Savior, and four Oscar wins for Traffic, which was a fantastic movie. Since forming Cindy Cowan Entertainment, CCE, Cowan has produced films with various A-list talent, including Woody Harrelson, Robert De Niro, Sir Ben Kingsley, Sigourney Weaver, and Cillian Murphy, to name a few. All of our faves. In 2020, Cindy won an Emmy with her documentary Miracle on 42nd Street. Cindy was recently awarded with the Woman of the Year award by WIN, Women's Image Network, as well as Humanitarian of the Year by the Hollywood Film Festival. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Hi, Regina. So great to be here.
Oh my gosh. When I was thinking of who would be dream guests for the show, you came up in my mind and I said, no, Cindy is too busy. She has too much going on, but something just told me to reach out and you immediately responded. And I have to attribute that to the amazing connection we made a couple of years ago when we met.
We did, and it was great. From the moment I met you, you were great. And we both co-hosted the World Women Foundation, and it was amazing. A love fest every since.
It really was. Yeah, it was an awesome, just everything from being at the Grammy Museum. And even though we didn't always know what was going to happen that day, that was part of, I think that was part of the fun. But yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better experience and just such a kind human and fun too, to do that event with.
Well, I'm so proud of you, by the way. Since our journey at World Women, you've written a book and gone on to do such amazing things, including this podcast. So well done.
Thank you so much. Oh my, that means a lot coming from you. Oh my gosh. So speaking of just doing so much, you've had such an incredible career in film, yet I read that music was your first passion, which was sparked by watching some of the biggest names. I was reading an article that you talked about, and you and I have talked about this actually when we first met. You were telling me about growing up seeing Dionne Warwick, you know, performing at your family's hotel. What was that like growing up?
You know, I didn't understand when I was little how strange my life was. And it was strange. My dad had one of the biggest hotels in Florida. We were kind of Caesar's Palace's sister hotel. And so I grew up with Sammy Davis Jr. being my godfather. Dionne Warwick is actually my aunt. And so all of these people, you know, when my dad opened his hotel, it was Frank Sinatra, Liza Minnelli, and Sammy that came to open the hotel. So I never realized how strange my life was. It really was. But music still to this day is my everything. I mean, who doesn't put on a good song to make you happy, or a sad song when you're feeling sad, or something that you want to reminisce about? And so I loved music, and I never told anybody I was going to write my first song. I had done my junior year abroad in London, ended up co-writing a song with this disco diva named Pam Stanley, who actually wanted us to write a song for her album. I was working for CBS News at the time and writing a lot of copy for what they were going to say. And she asked me if I would write lyrics to a song, and I was like, no, like, I don't know how to write lyrics to a song, but you know what? Let me try. And she gave me, so old I am, a cassette player and said, here's the music, see what you can do. And it was interesting because what I gave her back, I think she thought I would give her back a poem, and I didn't. I gave her back verses, chorus, the medley, all I
Wow.
could sing. And I sent it only to one person. I didn't even tell my family. I sent it to one person who I'd met in London when I was doing my junior abroad, thinking they were just going to laugh and say, your day job. And they didn't. They called me up, God, weeks later with these amazing producers named Stock Aitken and Waterman, who at the time were huge. And they said, do you have a publishing company? And I was like, no. And they said, you need to start one right away. This huge artist named Sunita, who was both the girlfriend and being produced by Simon Cowell,
Oh
was
my
doing
gosh.
an album. And I was lucky enough to get two songs on that album. That album went top 10 all throughout Europe, and it started my songwriting career. And then
Oh
I was really blessed. I'm an R&B baby. It was my favorite music. Howard Hewitt was one of my favorite singers ever.
oh
And Howard
gosh.
ended up taking a song in the Shalimar days, and
Right. I was gonna say Shalimar.
amazing. And that went to number three on the R&B charts for, God, well over a year. He still sings it in concert. But it was interesting. When I came to California, I did come as a songwriter, but I felt that people were much more talented than I was. I was honest enough with myself. Songwriting was always a hobby of mine. I knew I needed to get a real job. And I think I'm about to start writing a lot more songs. Nobody even realizes that part of my life. But I segued into film, started as a PA, came all the way up, and the rest is history. Yeah,
Oh my God. What an incredible journey. It just sounds like all these, you know, synchronicities happened
yeah,
and you followed your passion not knowing. And you mentioned that you actually, that's a perfect segue into the next question. I was going to ask you how you transitioned from being a songwriter to now the movie business, and
yeah.
you shared that. I'm curious, with your latest film Cleaner that came out this year, congratulations, what do you love about being a producer that keeps you doing it? Because you've clearly had so much success. What keeps you going to this day?
You know, the business is getting harder and harder. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Our
Mm.
business is definitely in flux with both AI and streamers coming. It's not the business of film that it used to be. And, every other day, like every producer I know, it's like, is this my journey anymore? But I get to tell amazing stories. And I'm lucky enough that I don't have to do films. So I'm only doing films that I really like. Now, what's coming is a lot of true stories, a lot of things I'm passionate about, or things where I can get messages out. And then I've been blessed to know a lot of actors along the way and a lot of directors. And so I'm only working with people that I love and adore, and it also lets me travel the world. Most of my movies, unfortunately, are not done in America, but I get to go to the most unique places and spend months there, both learning the cultures. And that's something that I love more than anything. I mean, travel is everything to me. So,
Mhm.
it all that together, and I'm teaching people and mentoring people, and I love that too. So if I'm able to give back a little bit before these kids way overtake me with everything that's coming, then maybe they'll mentor me on the way sliding down.
Oh my
So, yeah,
God.
I'm honest about that. Be nice to everybody because you never know. You're going to meet in the middle at some point.
Oh, that is so real. That's another thing I love about you. You've always been just so real and honest about just your view on life. So I love that. So speaking of mentoring, because
Yes.
I'm hoping that people are listening are taking
Yeah.
the words of wisdom. I came across a Forbes article last year that stated women's representation behind the scenes in Hollywood has remained relatively flat in the last 25 years, which is not surprising, but still it kind of is shocking. The article said as of 2023, women working as producers, it's roughly 26%. As a successful woman producer, what are some of the lessons you've learned over the years or things maybe you've shared as you mentor people?
Yeah.
What advice would you give other women who are underrepresented in their field like you've been for your career?
I mean, a lot. So I was the first female distributor, and there was nobody in that line of work before me when I started. Well, the problem is there just aren't many going into the field, and the field is
Mhm.
difficult. So when you go into this field, it has to be a passion of yours, and you have to be prepared to do the long haul, not the short haul. Also, being a woman, there's so many times, especially in the past, because I came up way before a Me Too era, where I'd walk on the set and people were like, "Oh, who's her boyfriend or who's her husband?" or who'd she sleep with to get here?
Yeah.
And I always say, I don't for one second wish I wasn't a female. Being a female does open doors. The problem is you have to be smart enough to stay in that room once those doors open.
Mm.
And you have to be prepared for some of the things that are going to come your way. I never fraternize on set. I've never started a relationship with anybody I've worked with. Those are very important things because sometimes you get in our business and you think, you know, maybe there's an easier path. I
Yeah.
say absolutely don't do that. And then you have to be gifted at what you do. I mean, when I was coming up, I wanted to learn every single department. And people thought I was nuts. Most producers think that it's casting, that they're just going to cast an actor and that's it. Or they're going to show up when an EPK, is being made, or they're sitting behind Video Village and that's it. And they think they're producing the movie. I know when I came up, I wanted to know every single department. So
Mm.
I would do little things. I didn't have a lot of money, but I offered to do dry cleaning sometimes for the grips or for the camera crew or whatever. And by the way, those little things went so far because, when you're working 5 days a week, who's got time to do dry cleaning?
Oh,
And I
goodness.
wasn't way up here yet. I just wanted to learn from them. So I would do all kinds of little things. Like, you have PAs, which are, production assistants, and they're kids nowadays. And not to say all kids are entitled, but this new batch of kids kind of don't have the work ethic that we had, which is nothing was too small for me. If
Yeah.
you wanted me to go deliver mail, I was going to do that, but I was going to talk to everybody along the way. If I was lucky enough to sit on a meeting, I was going to try to meet everybody after that meeting. And I would always stay a little bit later. And so to me, nothing was too small because I got something out of every job that I ever had. And so I was able to quickly climb the ropes much faster than most people, only because I started developing armies of people that were champing me on
Mm.
because I had done something kind for them or they just liked me, and then the actors, it's funny, people think I'm very connected because of my family. My family cut me off when I came to LA. They wanted me to get married. And so, I was a runaway bride. When I came to LA, my family, who I adore, this is not to say I don't adore my family, but
Yeah.
they cut me off. They closed every door to everybody that I knew. And so it wasn't my family at all. It was all relationships that I developed along the way. But again, and look, I'm lucky. I wasn't starstruck with anybody because I grew up with these humongous. And in some ways, that worked for me because where other people are getting tongue tied and starstruck, to me, the grip was no better than the actor.
Mm.
And so I treated everybody as an equal. And again, those army of people from anybody on the set, even the other PAs. I was once one, so I'm going to treat them great.
Yeah.
We're all starting somewhere and we're all going to end somewhere. So again, it's the pay it forward mentality. of everybody should mentor everybody because we're all going to need it. I will definitely need to be mentored in this new AI world.
Right. All the
So,
new technology
yeah.
that's coming
So,
up.
because I think
Wow.
these kids are going to be 100% better than I am. You know? Right.
They're born, they're native
They're
to
gonna
to
do it.
all of this
I'm still
technology.
resisting it. I'm still with my cassette player. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a little vintage.
Right.
Oh my gosh. There was so much goodness in that response, Cindy. You made me think about my own career coming up in corporate. And you're right. There was just something about in previous generations, we were taught to roll up our sleeves and really dig in. So as you were telling your story of, really starting from the ground up and wanting to learn all of these different positions to make
Yep.
yourself a better producer, I similarly in HR, I started as an admin assistant and a file clerk
Isn't that
and
great?
yeah, and I found myself learning all of these different areas of HR, of corporate, so that when I did rise into the executive
Yep.
ranks, I had so much more perspective and, to your point, built key relationships along the way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's
You
great
never know when
advice.
it's going to come back. You just never know. I think weirdly with this generation, and again, not cutting down this whole generation, but
Yeah.
people are growing up in an I me generation. And
Mhm.
um, that's a shame to me because there
Yeah.
is no I me without a we. I
Mhm.
can't make a film by myself. I need a team behind me. So I wish more people would embrace everybody and learn everything. There is nothing too small for me.
No, nothing too small, and it's in the journey, like, that's the
The journey.
fun part too, is
Absolutely.
just that's what I've experienced too sometime and I do feel, I don't wanna say sad, I don't wanna come from a place of
Yeah,
pity,
yeah.
but I wish this generation would be patient with themselves
Me too.
because there is this angst, I want it all now, I wanna do it all, I wanna have it all,
Right.
and the fun is in the journey.
The fun is in the journey.
Oh, well, speaking of fun, you
Okay.
talked about traveling as being something
Yeah.
that keeps you going as a producer. What's the most fun you've had on a movie production?
I did a very strange, controversial movie called Very Bad Things years ago.
Ooh.
And that movie still to this day is one of the most fun because the movie, well, we were the precursor to The Hangover and all these kind of strange.
Oh.
And it was funny because it was this controversial script with the darkest sense of humor. And for some reason, it generated with me. I have a dark sense of humor. And so the director had never directed a movie before. I remember showing up on the Fox set. The director was an actor. His name was Peter Berg. And I showed up, I knocked on his trailer and said, I'm going to make your movie. And again, he thought, okay, who are you? I was much younger then. He probably thought, yeah, okay, this girl's coming to flirt with me or any kind of nefarious thing, none of which were true. We sat there and talked, and I said, I'm going to make your movie. And the movie was so dark and ahead of its time that the only way to make the movie was to call friends. And so Peter and I kind of went through our black books and said, let's call every friend we know. And we did. And it was Cameron Diaz and Christian Slater and Daniel Stern. And I mean, it was just John Favreau.
Oh
We
gosh.
were, the cast was great. And it was just so much fun. Again, we were so ahead of its time. And to this day, the people that understand that movie still reach out, like other directors and stuff, and just say that movie was amazing. And
Love
it's
it.
Peter Berg's career, who had never directed, and now he's one of our, predominant directors out there today. And every part of it was great.
Oh my god. Now I have to go back. Like
It's
as you
very
were naming,
warped.
I
So
have
I
to.
warn you, it's very warped.
Okay. Well, that makes me want to see it even
Right?
more.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I'm very bad things. Okay, I'm gonna go and look. I love movies, so I'm gonna go and check that one out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Great.
So aside from your career as a producer and everything that you do in the film industry, you sit on the board of several charities, which I know are important to
Yes.
you. You are on the board of the World Women Foundation, where we met, Little Kids Rock, Music for Relief, among others.
Yeah.
You give so much of your time, your money, your efforts to charity. Why is it important for you to serve in that way?
I have a weird thing. I was kind of born wanting to help others. My father used to call everything my strays. As young as 10 years old, and my father and mother were so kind in their generosity of the weirdness of their weird little kid, because it started with me going to pounds when I was very young, and I saved as many animals as I could that were on euthanasia lists. I was convinced I was going to be a vet, but I mean weird animals, cats with three legs, dogs with one eye, things with and I think at one point my father was generous. He bought me a little farm because we had 16 dogs at one point. I had rescued a cow one day and came home with a cow in the back of my car. That kind of tipped him over the edge. I had a monkey, I had a raccoon, you name it, I did it. And my father used to say all the time, "What made you this way?" And I don't know, maybe a past life I simply made me this way, but in my whole life, and it is not just hyperbole or speaking, I take the greatest joy of giving to others. I do. And it's not a monetary thing. I tell everybody, leave a footprint for when you pass. And it can be anything. Go hug a stranger, pick a flower and hand it to somebody, say hello to somebody. And I tell this is a big thing. You can buy for $8 at your local grocery store 8 pieces of chicken. $8. And you
Yeah.
get a pack of water. Just go in your car with that piece of chicken and a bottle of water and hand it to a homeless person. You have
Mhm.
no idea how these simple little gestures can change lives. And it has nothing at all to do with money. So, because some people are like, well, you're in a different position, you can do this. No, I did
Yeah.
it the other day. I was leaving a restaurant. My girlfriend took me out for my birthday, and we had a half a pizza, and we were waiting for a valet. And as we were getting ready to pull off, I saw a homeless man going through the garbage. And my girlfriend had
Mm.
never done it before. And I rolled down my window and I said to her, ask him if he's hungry. He
Yeah.
was, of course. And I said, ask him if he would like pizza. And he did, of course. And he was so thankful and so
Mm.
kind. And my girlfriend started to cry and said, I've never done this before. And I said, look how easy that was to do. Look how much it
Yeah.
cost you. So I don't know. Paying it forward is everything to me. I think what I need to do is learn how to receive a little bit more. I
Oh, don't we
love
all?
giving, and sometimes us givers, are not used to receiving because we're so used to opening our arms and saying, "You got a problem? Come to me. You need money?
Oh.
Come to me. You need a place to stay? Come to me." What we need to do is say, "No, this is give and take."
Mm.
Although I will say that I get a lot from seeing a smile on someone's face that might not
Yes.
have had it.
Oh my goodness. I relate to that last point of being ready to receive or learning to receive because I am not primed for that. I am always, more apt to give of my time,
Yep.
my energy, my whatever advice, guidance, support. But I'm in a season right now where I'm learning to receive.
You and me both. We both are.
Oh, yes. I love that. I love that. So sticking on this theme around just who you really are at your core, that example you just gave, Cindy, really illustrated so much. But that contrast to what I think we see when we see
Yeah.
people who are celebrities or high profile, we think something different. Like when you Google your name or scroll through your social media feed, like it is a who's who of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's like everyone you could possibly
Yeah.
imagine, yet you remained so humble, so generous, so approachable. What do you think keeps you grounded, especially surrounded by all of the opulence and even excess, let's say, that surrounds you?
I made a decision way back when. Well, again, my family cut me off, so I could have gone here and gone here. And I don't harbor any resentment to what they did because it made me me. But I
Hmm.
always decided that I was never going to take things too seriously. Have I been in private planes via studio going to the most unbelievably decadent parties? Yes, I have. Do I know presidents all around the world? I do. But I think what keeps me grounded is, and Hunter, my assistant, will tell you, is we frequently feed the homeless and nobody knows about it. I don't put it
Mm-hmm.
on social media. I
Yep.
don't, you know, I don't sing from the rooftops. Oh, look at me. I'm doing this now. We literally are in my house plating foods, and we drive around the streets of LA and we hand out food. And I do that for many reasons. I want to know how our government is or is not cleaning up the streets. I want to know what's happening there. We right after the fires, I volunteered to walk dogs at the shelters. I mean, these little things that you do keep you really grounded. And
Yeah.
I think more people need to do that. They need to get out of their bubble and
Yeah.
they need to see how all fractions of life are living right now. Because again, we're all going to meet in the middle at some point. So
Mm.
it it 100% keeps me grounded because we are all one step away from being, it's like some of these unfortunate people. Anything can happen in our lives to cause that. So let's just meet in the middle and try to raise others. And again, leave that footprint because I know when I pass away, yes, I want some of my friends to smile about the goofy things we did, but I want more people to say, wow, she did this. She did this. And because
Hmm.
she did this, I'm going to do this too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's just beautiful. And it just spiritually, too, that makes my heart so happy just to know that there are people like you who don't take life or themselves too seriously, that are not afraid to connect to just other people. We are all human. We are all going through our own things. So no matter what walk of life, we all have a struggle in some way or have been through
Absolutely.
something. And so that's just awesome. I got that sense from you when we met. I was like, how is she like a real person? Like we were just like on the phone, like cracking up like we had known each other.
I know, right?
Just
You
so
know, I
even.
think it's also a lot about transparency. Like you
Mm,
touched on social media and all the glamour in my social media, and there is. But I also post the bad. And
yeah.
it's interesting because when I got Woman of the Year, I'm convinced, yes. Was I the first woman distributor? Yes. Did I produce all these movies? Yes. Have I gotten accolades? Yes. But at the time, I had also been stalked. And
Mm,
I took my stalking public. But anybody that follows my stories know I post good and bad because one thing that bothers me about social media is life is not all good for anybody. I don't
no.
care how famous, how rich, how whatever you are. So I take people on journeys with me to try to help them. And at that time, it was about stalking. Like I said to you, I'm going through something right now where, I got diagnosed with melanoma. I did not
Mm,
shy away from it. I
yeah.
posted a scar on my back and said I was lucky. Ironically, I got diagnosed in Skin Cancer Awareness Month, leave it to
Oh
that.
gosh. Yeah.
And, but I used my journey to tell others, you need to get checked. You need to get checked right now.
Mhm.
And because of that, I had hundreds of people reaching out to me telling me that they got checked or they found it too, or because of me, they were going to the doctors. And these journeys that we all go on are so important because people think they're alone in their journeys. And I don't care
Yeah.
what their journey is. And maybe it's because I started as a therapist way back when, but people wouldn't necessarily need therapy if they would talk about it or if they could realize that others were going through the same journey as them.
Mm,
And so I use social media as a way to connect with people all around the world. I don't shy away from anything. Yes, the majority of my stuff is good because the majority of my life is good. But if it's bad, I don't shy away from that. I'm going
love
to take
that.
you along with that journey too. And I think that's more important. And I think I have quite a large following of people for not being an actress. And I think that, people are constantly saying you're so real or
Mhm.
thank you for this. And even with my, kind of bad journeys, I turn them into positives. I wouldn't change any of these journeys. And like what I'm going through right now, maybe my journey is to save other people's lives. So
Mm.
hopefully I will.
Yeah, I think so. And thank you for sharing that because yes, that it absolutely awareness will help someone think
Absolutely.
about or someone who's going through it not feel as alone. So I love that and I'm glad that everything is okay. I know you mentioned it earlier that you celebrated a birthday recently.
I
And
did.
so I was one of the ones wishing you happy birthday. What are you looking forward to most in this next year of your life?
I don't know everything. More travel. Probably I'm going to get a second home outside of the United States,
Yeah.
in a country that fascinates me, which
Ooh,
is Thailand. I'm
beautiful.
very fascinated with the Asian cultures, and Thailand I don't know. I go to Thailand and everybody's happy and everybody's one. And I'm incredibly spiritual. Anybody who's been to my house knows it's filled with crystals and filled with every religious ornament from the cross to the mezuzah to the Quran. I don't
Mm,
discriminate. Everything is about goodness. And
yeah.
one of the things that touched my heart with Thailand is that it's a melting pot of good and spirituality. And so, no, I'm not leaving America. Because people are like, "Oh my God, are you leaving?" And they're all in a
Like,
panic.
don't leave us.
I'm not leaving. I'm just enhancing and getting, a second opportunity. So I'm
Good.
very excited about that. And we have some great projects in the works. So I'm very excited about that too.
Ooh, which we are going to talk about next. But I wanted to touch on Thailand. That's
Yes.
definitely on my list of places.
Go with you anytime.
Oh my God. Okay. Don't threaten
I
me with
will.
that good of
Seriously,
a
I'd like
time.
to Thailand. Like, yeah.
That'd be amazing. Because I am a seeker, a student of spirituality. I've gotten deeper in that just since my husband died, even since in the a couple years since we've met, I've just been doing more meditation. I'm studying to be a yoga teacher right
Oh,
now.
cool.
Yeah, so I am very immersed, and I've been to India, but Thailand is the next part of the world that I really want to seek from a spiritual perspective. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my goodness. So speaking of the exciting projects coming up, one of them I heard is an NSYNC tri-star film,
Yes,
which
it is.
I need to hear more of. So what exciting projects do you have on the horizon?
So that obviously NSYNC is a great project. Lance Bass and I had talked about this years ago. TriStar was amazing to purchase it from us immediately. And that happens to be a true story of these two young girls that went to their freshman year of college, saw that Justin Timberlake was about to go on tour, freaked out. One called her mom and said, "I don't want to be in college anymore. Instead of going on tour, the mom said, "If you drop out, I'm cutting you off." And the girls decided to go on The Price is Right in order to win the RV so that they could say, kind of, screw you to everybody and travel around the world with NSYNC. And by the way, true story, they got it on their second try. It's still to this day the largest prize that Price is Right is. We have upped the age 20 years, and we are going to follow these girls trying to recapture their childhood 20 years later, when the real NSYNC, by the way, is going back on tour. So it's kind of great and fun and, almost famous meets girls trip. And, yeah, it's kind
I
of
love it. Oh my God. If you need any extras,
right.
Cindy, like
Absolutely.
call me. I love NSYNC.
I know, right? They're great. I love it.
So you
But
have that. What else can we
so we
look
have
forward
that.
to?
We're developing a TV show that I can't go way, way, way into, but I will tell you it centers around John Lennon. And he's
Oh,
my favorite musical artist ever.
oh
And once
man.
to get these rights. And that is coming hopefully to a TV near you as an amazing mini series. And then I got very taken with something that a lot of people don't talk about, which is squatters and squatting. And I had three
Mm,
of my friends that experienced squatters in the past couple of years. I was not that aware of the squatting rules, and the squatting rules are terrifying. Somebody can literally come into your house, and you are not able by law to get them out. It's something
yeah.
that really needs to know. So I love thrillers. So it's kind of Cape Fear meets Pacific Heights. We're putting a director
Ooh,
on that right now. It's one of my favorite projects.
that sounds
Yeah,
exciting.
really exciting. And then we just wrapped on a movie that I executive produced. It's a Naomi Watts, Luke Evans, Norman Reedus, Ty Sheridan film, and that's a true story about the first Nazi that was ever discovered in America and what happened because of that. So we're kind of all over the place on what we're doing, but we're trying to do movies that either are biopics that will, touch your heart, or that are really based on true stories and that I can educate people, like the laws of squatting.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier in this interview how that is what keeps you going, that you're telling these stories that can have an impact,
Yeah.
which we need more
Absolutely.
of. Like I think we've exhausted all. We have a lot of fantasy in the Marvel and not to knock any of that, but I personally I gravitate towards
Me
stories
too.
about real people.
Me too.
Yeah, so I think that's beautiful that that's where you're focusing your time and energy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, with all that you said and all that's coming up, I know people are going to want to stay connected. How can people find you? What's the preferred way that people can
Ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know there's so many ways, I'm sure. How would you like people to find
Easiest
you?
way is Instagram, which is Cindy Cowan, CindyCowan, the number 1000. I couldn't get my name. I couldn't even get 1 or 10. So I have become 1000. There's
Nice.
apparently 1,000 of me. But it's Cindy Cowan 1000 at Instagram. Facebook, you can follow me. Unfortunately, I can't follow you back because it's full. I don't know why Facebook limits
Their follows, yeah.
it's Cindy Cowan, just no 1000. LinkedIn, I believe, is Cindy Cowan 1000. X is, I think, Cindy Cowan 1000 as well. If you don't
Yeah.
see Cindy Cowan, add the 1000. That's fine. And then my website is www.cowanent.com. And that will tell you everything that we're working on next.
I love it. I love the 1000 for you. I like it's very on brand.
Right?
I love it.
It's great.
Oh my gosh. Well, Cindy, I just not only thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, but it's just so
So,
good to talk to you again. It's been a while and I'm just so enamored with all that you're doing and just love, love, love your spirit, your energy. And I'm just grateful that people like you exist in the world.
thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And so amazing to see you again, too. We need to do this more often. Doesn't have to be on a podcast, just
Right.
face to face anytime. I would love to keep in touch with you.
Aw, thank you
And I'm
so
very
much. Thank you. That means a lot. I need that. It's been a rough time, so I
if it's ever rough. I will tell you what to do. And by the way, spirituality wise, we have a strawberry moon on the 11th of this month. And I'm super spiritual in all different ways. So my parting thing to you and all the listeners out there is strawberry moon is a very important moon, and it is an amazing time to release. People have different ways of releasing. What I suggest is write down what no longer serves you. Any of going through a hard time, whether it's financially or love life or fears or obstacles, write it down on a piece of paper and then burn that piece of paper. Do not keep that piece of paper. Burn it and spread all the ashes into the wilderness. It's all you got to do. And then put it out of your mind, let it go. But the strawberry moon is a very powerful one. So
oh,
my parting gift.
beautiful advice.
Right?
Beautiful advice. And I'm going to work very hard to get this episode out then before then. So, no.
But I'll give another one. But yes, if you can, and maybe it will help some people.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with me and everyone else listening.
Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh.
So
Thank
much
you
fun,
so
Cindy.
much.
Thank you, Regina.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye.